two political parties to solve these problems? They are the problem, right?
Let us cease with all the unnecessary bantering about and admit this much. It is a two-party political system here in America, Democrat, Republican, and in the current climate, it won't change. And anyone who does not eventually identify with one or the other will never become president of these United States. However, there are those dreamers who believe this is not always going to be the case, and ending this duopoly might be the smartest thing we can ever do in American politics. Our guest is visiting fellow of the American Enterprise Institute, former Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. Welcome, Ambassador James Glassman to the Hardline. Ambassador, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You realize, of course, that what I've just said is what people will say all the time. We need to get rid of it, but we can't. It's impossible. We are stuck in this case right now. So where do we go from here to at least start the process?
Right. Well, there is a way to get rid of it, and I think the premise is something all of your viewers and followers will accept, which is that Americans are sick and tired of the political system that they have now. We've got more people who identify themselves as independents than ever in history. And the idea that I want to put before your readers and listeners and viewers is that if we make one little change, which is to open up the presidential debates to someone other than, or in addition to, a Republican and a Democrat, that we will also be opening up the political system in a way that most Americans want.
Isn't this all, though, just a faction of money? Because most of the money gets funneled left, right, GOP, Democrat, and by the time you take all that money and all the PACs that are out there right now, no one else really has the amount of money to compete with them.
Well, money is a problem, but money is not a problem that's going to be fixed anytime soon. The bigger problem is that a group of Democrats and Republicans, partisans, led by Frank Fahrenkopf, who's the former Republican chairman, and Mike McCurry, the former press secretary to President Clinton, run something called the Commission on Presidential Debates. They are unelected. It's a private organization, but they determine who gets into the debates. And believe it or not, they've decided that based on their rules, you're never going to have anyone but a Republican or a Democrat. So I'm part of a group of about 4 dozen people, including General Hayden, the former director of the CIA, Admiral Stavridis, the former Supreme Allied Commander in Europe, John Huntsman, lots of interesting people, Joe Lieberman, who are saying, look, we need to open up those debates to an independent, because unless the debates are opened up, you can't get elected president. It's just going to be the Democrat and the Republican. So we need to open it up. We have proposed a solution to the commission. The commission has been ignoring us, and we're now going public with it. We want to open up the debates as a way to change and reinvigorate the American political system.
You also have a list of the people that you think would make great presidents, and a lot of them are CEOs, which makes people wonder why. We're always told that being a governor would be a better president, but then again, by being a CEO, you're almost saying that everybody who knows how to run business knows how to run the business of the United States better.
Well, I actually don't think it's true. I don't think that if you can run a business, you can run the United States. But I do think this. CNN did an interesting poll where they asked people, which is more important to you, electing somebody president who agrees with you on every issue, or electing someone who is a good executive, either in the private sector or in government? And people opted for the latter. They said it's much more important to have somebody who knows how to run something. And maybe that's based on our experience of the last 6 years. And yes, many CEOs, especially those who are in positions that involve interaction with the political system. So, you take somebody like, Eric Schmidt, okay, the former CEO, now executive chairman of Google. You take somebody like Howard Schultz from Starbucks, or maybe Jeff Immelt from GE. So those I think are interesting potential selections. And then there are independents. There are people like Mike Bloomberg. There are people, Angus King, who's the governor of Maine. And then there are people who could never get nominated by their party because they don't pass the litmus test. If you're a Democrat, you can't be pro-life. If you're a Republican, you can't be, pro-gay marriage, whatever it is. So there are lots of people, as I say in my article that was in Politico and that people can read right now on Politico, I said that across this vast and varied land, there are literally dozens of people who would make good presidents, maybe even great presidents. And I also mentioned military figures who I think would be excellent. I mentioned Admiral Stavridis, for example.
Get about 10 seconds, Ambassador.
Who's now the dean of the Fletcher School. So there are lots of people who could be good presidents. We have to open up our minds and open up our political system.
Open up the minds in the political system. I'm with you. Now all we have to do is get the American people behind it. I think they already are. And those people who are always standing in the way of that. Ambassador James Glassman, marvelous article in Politico. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes in news talk, The Hard Line, will continue right here.